What if you could spend $500 and end up with a company that generates $4 million in sales? That's what I did, and I did it by using a scientifically valid method to know it's going to work before I invested a lot of money. So if you want to learn how to do that for your business and de-risk it, let's jump right in. Well, to find product market fit, you have to be sure that the problem as you articulate it is the problem that they have it, right? So sometimes a startup will have a feature and they're trying to make the feature into a product, but maybe that feature is not something that stands well as an independent product. It's baked into some other process, and they wouldn't be so interesting to someone because they've got another ecosystem of other products and services around there, and the new thing won't fit in. So really what you're trying to do is answer the question that if I had a product, or if in the startup's case, a company that offered this one thing, is that really something that excites people and they're willing to pay for? And they're willing to pay for is a pretty important part of it, because you can go out and what a number of startup founders will do is they'll have an idea, and then they'll ask 3 or 4 people about that idea, and those people tend to be in their inner circle, right? They're consigliere, the people that they run ideas by. But those people might be just very excitable about new ideas, and they're not necessarily the buyer. So you get misdirected into thinking it's a good idea because you've talked to idea people and not people who would write a check. And that's fundamentally different. So if you don't go out to people who would actually write a check, give you money, and ideally give you money in advance before they even have the thing, you haven't collected the kind of information about, someone is willing to pay for this. And it's a very basic lean startup concept, but the question is, how do you do that based on what the ideal client is for that? Because it's different for consumer SaaS than it is for B2B SaaS. And it's different from if you're selling something in e-commerce or you're selling a service. Each one is a slightly different flavor because the experiment that you run has to actually get you the right kind of information. Otherwise, you're flying blind. I had an idea, and this is not going to go into details, but this is in the pet space. I had an idea that a certain kind of pet product would make a lot of sense. So what I did is I ran a test. I did not buy product. I did not manufacture anything. I just ran a test. And in this case, I used Facebook ads and started to see, will people respond to the ad? Will they respond to like this kind of thing? And the answer was yes, they would respond to it. And then so I took it to the next step. So that first is what's called a directional test. And that is, will people kind of like it? Will they just click on it? Will they say, yeah, I'm sort of kind of interested in this thing? And the next after a directional test is a statistical test. Okay, how many of them are actually going to take some kind of action where I can extrapolate what my sales are going to be? So I'm running these tests each with like small dollar amounts to give me information about whether I should invest the next bucket of money. Instead of putting everything in the middle of the table at the beginning, I'm saying I'm going to test yay or nay, right? Because it's very useful to have information that says, no, this sucks. Don't do this, because then you stop burning money right away. But if it passes that first gate, then you take the next gate, which is a statistical test, to say, is it likely that they will actually buy? So then I run the next test with a few more dollars. In this case, it failed that test. They were not going to buy. Like, I had enough statistical data that said they were not going to buy the product that I was doing. So I went back to square one and I tried something else. And the directional test succeeded, and I spent about $150 on a directional test to say, are people even interested in this thing? Answer, yes. Now I do statistical test. Will they actually take a buying action towards this? And I spent about $300, $350 on that thing. So, and it cleared that gate. And then I can go on to a revenue test, which is the last kind of test, which is like, okay, well, I've proven this out through 2 gates, and now I can actually put some real money behind it because I have some confidence that it's going to work. And so in this case, I invested about $500 to validate an idea, which I otherwise would have had to buy inventory for. I would have had to set up all the logistics. Now I've done nothing other than test, and now I have some certainty that I can actually build a business off of that. So that business now has done about $4 million in sales and has always been self-funded off of $500 in testing. And that principle of taking it through these gates of experiments, the directional test, the statistical test, and then the revenue test, is core to not overspending. I thought it was a good idea. In fact, I thought it was a really good idea. I was really partial to it. The second idea I thought was actually stupid. Like, I was like, this will never work. And that's why we have to be dispassionate. about this. If we want to succeed, it's all great and all if you think that the thing's going to succeed, but that's less important than what the market is telling us will actually succeed. And we can mislead ourselves for long periods of time. I did this when I started a marketing agency, and I misled myself for about 2 years into thinking that the market wanted what I was presenting it the way I was presenting it. And that 2 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars wasted on a wrong strategy because I didn't test it is just stupid. So I promise to never do that again. And every time I've followed this disciplined process of successfully larger tests and making it clear the next hurdle, right? Get past this gate, as I get to the next contest, then I've done better than just having an idea in my head that this thing is totally going to work and then trying to ram it through. Now that you know how to make a product so it's going to succeed, you're going to know in advance if it's going to actually work. The next thing is to figure out what's the business plan. But most business plans don't work and they fail. Watch this video next, in which I talk about how to make a business plan that will actually work for you.